Hello, back again on the Top Recap channel. This time I will tell a movie's entitled The Wages of Fear. Let's get straight into the storyline. The story begins by showing the chaos of the capital city, where people held massive demonstrations to bring down the president who was caught in corruption. Then, we are shown a bodyguard named Fred. At that time, Fred was going to his client's office. Upon arrival, Fred immediately met with his client, who was preparing to escape. Because the client was satisfied with Fred's performance, the client finally gave Fred some tips. It wasn't long before the client was visited by a mysterious woman, and they had a serious conversation. Fred waited outside the house with two of the woman's bodyguards. But it wasn't long before some police officers checked the house. Some policemen immediately entered the house and killed Fred's client. Seeing that the policemen were corrupt, Fred and his partner immediately beat the policemen. After finishing off the corrupt policeman, Fred hurried to escape. He then visited the house of his younger brother Alex. Although he looks like an ordinary person, he is a bomb expert who can make all kinds of explosive devices. Then Fred invited him to blow up Fred's client's safe and take all the money so he could escape to France and start a new life there. Alex initially refused his brother's invitation because the risk was too great, but eventually, Alex was willing to accept. The two of them then began to strategize. Alex was tasked with blowing up the safe while Fred would stand guard outside. Arriving at the client's place, they immediately carried out their respective tasks. Alex immediately took out his bomb equipment, but in the middle of the robbery, the soldiers arrived, entered the house, and arrested Alex, who was caught red-handed in the place. Fred, who was outside, couldn't do anything to save Alex. After the incident, the police put Alex in a high-class prison, which is a prison with the highest level of criminality. In that place, Alex must fight to defend himself if he does not want to be killed by other inmates. After languishing in prison, Alex, who initially could not fight, has now turned into a very brutal figure. He even dares to beat up the warden and guards to test his strength. Meanwhile, Fred and Alex's family exiles themselves to a village near the mine to avoid being arrested by the government. In the village, Fred and Alex's wives must work with local organizations so that the village they live in can become comfortable. With the oil and gas mine, the village becomes arid, and the people have difficulty surviving. Not long after, Fred picked up Alex's wife, who had just been talking with the local members. Here, the woman seems upset with Fred and brings up her husband being imprisoned, even though the person who had the idea of the robbery was Fred. Deep down, Fred feels guilty, so he wants to make up for it by protecting Alex's family. When they were arguing, the oil and gas mine in the village suddenly exploded. Because of the explosion, the oil and gas mine owners immediately held a meeting to solve the problem. The fire will spread to other underground mines if it is not resolved quickly, even though the explosion was the fault of the company that had corrupted development money. It was deliberately done so that the government would give them funds to repair the mine, and then they would corrupt the money again. Long story short, a representative of the company visits a village closest to the mine, where he asks Fred to carry out a mission. If Fred is willing to help, she will release Alex from prison. However, this mission is quite dangerous, because Fred has to pick up liquid nitrogen at a solar power plant, and then take it to an oil and gas mine to use it to prevent a bigger oil leak. But he has to do it within 24 hours before the mine explodes. If he succeeds, he will be paid millions of dollars and get a complimentary flight to France. Because of the incredible reward, Fred immediately agreed. Fred is not alone in carrying out this mission. He will be accompanied by two company representatives and a local who already knows the route. But on the way, they were attacked by desert bandits. Luckily, they managed to escape the attack. Long story short, Fred and his friends finally arrived at the meeting location. Apparently, Alex had arrived at the place first, and when he saw his brother's face, Alex immediately beat him up. He seemed to hate Fred, who had the heart to trap him and make his life miserable. While arguing, the company representative named Gauthier tried to separate them. He also persuaded Alex to focus on his mission so that he could reunite with his daughter and wife. Thanks to Gauthier, Alex finally calmed down. Without further delay, he immediately mobilized his skills as a bomb expert to check the liquid nitrogen explosion. He then explained that the liquid was so dangerous that even one drop could produce a very large explosion, so they had to be careful for this mission, especially since the nitrogen to be carried was 200 kilograms. After knowing the dangers of liquid nitrogen, Gauthier divided the team into two groups. Later, the first group would be in charge of taking the licensing files needed to take stock of liquid nitrogen, while the second group had to prepare a very safe truck. In short, Fred and his friends went to the solar power plant with a government license, but the special forces guarding the place stopped them at the gate. It turns out that the license they brought was not officially approved because the application was too sudden, so if they wanted to go inside, they had to wait up to 24 hours, even though they only had 20 hours left to transport liquid nitrogen. On hearing that, one of Gauthier's colleagues named Clara tried to lobby the commander of the troops to allow them to enter, and thanks to Clara's extraordinary abilities, the commander finally allowed them to enter. Upon arrival at the location, they immediately carry out their respective tasks. Here, Fred and Alex are in charge of loading liquid nitrogen into the truck, while the rest stand guard outside the building, while arranging the safest route to the mine. Here, Fred and Alex had to get along to avoid getting out of control and exploding the nitrogen. If the liquid fell, they would all be killed immediately. When they had finished moving the nitrogen, they left the place, but an officer attacked one of Fred's team members. The fight made one liquid nitrogen fall and caused a massive explosion. Luckily, Fred and Alex were far enough away from the blast site that the effects of the explosion weren't harmful to their truck. Meanwhile, Gauthier, Fred, and the others are back on the road, and there are only 10 hours left. But on the way, Clara seemed angry with Gauthier for letting his men die. Because she didn't like his decision, she chose to switch vehicles to Fred's car. Moments later, they were surprised by the arrival of desert bandits. They asked for a high fee if Gauthier's group wanted to pass safely. Gauthier then tried to communicate with the bandit leader. He then claimed to be a resident of the area who was bringing medicine for the sick. But the bandits, of course, didn't believe him. Because his efforts were unsuccessful, one of Fred's colleagues showed the company logo. Unfortunately, the bandits didn't care about that. The bandit leader only wants to ask for money if they want to leave there. On the one hand, they wanted to survive, but on the other hand, they didn't have much time left. After considering it, Gauthier shot one of the bandits, and a battle ensued. Although several members died, they finally managed to paralyze the bandits. But unfortunately, the bandits got back up and chased them. Because the bandits continued to chase them, Gauthier took over the route, which made Clara furious. Gauthier's decisions were always risky, even though the route they were taking was the safest, with a distance that was not too far. Gauthier didn't care. He just wanted to get to the mine quickly and get paid. Unfortunately, the route taken by Gauthier is a route with difficult terrain for trucks to pass, and when he had walked for 1 kilometer, suddenly, one of Gauthier's troops was killed by a landmine. Seeing the incident, Fred immediately attacked and thought the explosion had come from the bandits. On the other hand, Alex approached Gauthier and told him that the route was filled with a landmine. Knowing that makes Gauthier upset because their journey will be more difficult. Not wanting to waste time, Alex also prepared a chain to detect the presence of mines. With Fred's help, they both started the action. As a bomb expert, Alex was able to defuse all the mines easily, but when he wanted to continue the action, Fred accidentally stepped on a mine. Here, Alex could have left him and let him die. After all, Fred had also sacrificed Alex for money, but on the basis of brotherhood, Alex decided to help him escape from the mine. He did everything he could to save his brother. Seeing his sincerity, Fred also apologized for all his mistakes. In short, Alex decided to pull his brother's body and block the mine explosion, but it turned out that the mine stepped on by Fred was broken, so it didn't cause an explosion at all. They laughed at each other because they felt like they were being played by the mine maker, but not long after, a sniper shot at them. All team members realized this route was also filled with bandits targeting them. They inevitably had to withstand the attack. After a fairly short shootout, Fred and his friends were able to kill the sniper. Then, they went back to check the condition of the liquid nitrogen in the truck. It was lucky that nothing leaked or spilled. The team was then divided into two and would take different routes. Here, Fred and Gauthier will take the east route, while Alex and Clara take the west route. With 6 hours to go, Fred and Gauthier rushed to the oil and gas mine before a new mine explosion. This time, they had to travel through more difficult terrain, going over cliffs and on roads full of rocks. It wasn't long before they reached an area of black oil. Fred then checked the depth of the pool and walked along it from end to make sure there were no obstacles. After ensuring the road was safe safe to pass, they continued. But after passing the oil puddle, Gauthier suddenly pointed his gun at Fred. It turned out that Gauthier intended to control all the money the mining company paid. He also, without hesitation, shot Fred. Meanwhile, Alex and Clara experienced the same thing. Their journey had to be stopped because the road was covered by a large rock. As a result, they had to get rid of the boulder before they could continue their journey. Alex also prepared liquid nitrogen to explode the boulder. After completing all the preparations, he immediately began blowing up the boulder. Meanwhile, the condition of the oil and gas mine is getting worse. The pipes are starting to leak due to the pressure of hot steam generated from the leaking pipes. And if left any longer, the village near the mine would be affected. With 2 hours left, Alex finally arrived at the black oil pool that Gauthier had passed. Alex then told Clara to drive the truck while he would steer the way to avoid getting stuck. After successfully passing through the oil pool, Alex told Clara to rest the truck engine, because if it was not rested, it would be damaged. Then, in the distance, they saw Gauthier's truck crossing the cliff path. Gauthier was very happy there because he would make a lot of money. He continued to drive his truck without resting the engine even though he had just passed a pool of black oil. It wasn't long before the truck's engine failed and fell off the cliff, causing a massive explosion. Alex and Clara were surprised by the incident because they thought Fred was also in the truck. But not far from their location, a shepherd called the two of them and told them that someone was injured. And after checking, it turned out that the person was Fred. Alex took his brother into the truck and continued on their way. Meanwhile, on the other side, the owner of the mining company was seen discussing with his business partner. On the other side of the phone, the owner told him that the mine could no longer be saved. So he also asked that the liquid nitrogen transportation car be directed to hit the mine so that they would get new funds to build a new oil and gas mine. 1 hour before the time is up, Alex and Clara rush to the mine to prevent the mine explosion. But the bandits again block their way. They finally decide to divide the tasks. Alex will drive the car and guard Fred, while Clara will fight the bandits. Clara throws liquid nitrogen from the back of the truck to stop the bandits. Thanks to good cooperation, they finally escaped and arrived at the mine safely. But unfortunately, the mine owner had taken Alex's family hostage. She did all this so that they would sacrifice themselves by crashing the truck into the mine. Hearing this nonsense, Fred woke up from his stupor and immediately shot the company owner. Not only that, he also decided to sacrifice himself by crashing his truck into the mine. In addition to making amends to Alex, he also wanted to stop the mine from leaking so the villagers would not be victimized. And thanks to his sacrifice, the mine site was finally safe from a large explosion. Finally, all the villagers, including Alex and his family, were saved, and the movie is over. Don't forget to click subscribe, like, and comment.